guys, thanks for joining us for a wine tasting today here at Duplin Winery. My name's Frank. I'm going to be going through these wines with you, and we've got a wide variety of our muscadine wines. We got everything from our driest white to our sweetest white, and we're going to do those. Then we're going to start over, and we're going to start with our driest red and go to one of our sweeter reds. So it's going to be a whole plethora of different kinds of wines we're going to try today. Now, if you were here at the winery, you would have one of these tasting sheets. Now, these are kind of our score sheets, so I want you to make a mental note as you're doing these wines, as you're tasting these wines. You got 1 through 5 in your head, okay? If you love the wine, give it a 5. If it's something that, you got it as a gift at Christmas and you re-gift it to somebody you don't like, that means it's a 1. It's something you don't really like. So just think about that as you're going through these. And if it's something you like and you want to buy some of it, we've got some of these in the grocery stores. Some of them, all of them, you can get online. So if you don't have a grocery store near you that carries what we have, you can always go online and get it. Or if you're near one of our wineries, either in Panama City Beach, Florida, we got one in Rose Hill, North Carolina, which is our original winery. You can check us out there. Or you can go to our North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina location. All 3 of those locations will have these wines we're going to try. So we'd love to see you. So definitely come down and see us. But if you can't get there, you can always get our wines online. So we're going to go ahead and get started right away. I want to explain to you just a little bit of what the muscadine is, though. So for those of you who have not possibly had the muscadine grapes, they're a grape that grows in the southeast. So you're in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, Alabama. You probably know what I'm talking about. If you're not in one of those states, you may have no idea what a muscadine is. So what it is, it's a grape that is a very thick-skinned grape. It's very sweet on the inside. The flesh is very sweet. That juice is very sweet. But that skin is kind of a bitter taste. So a lot of people, what they'll do, and when I was a kid, I grew up in North Carolina. We used to go out in the woods, and a lot of people will do this. They'll pick those grapes, and the vines are using the trees as support. So it looks like they're growing in the trees, but they're actually on a vine. You pull that off, you can pop the whole thing in your mouth, bite it, you get that sweet taste at first, and if you eat the skin, you get kind of a muscadine bite is what I call it. Kind of like a plum, where the plum is very sweet on the inside, but that, not the flesh, but the skin is a little bit kind of, got a bite to it. Not bitter, but kind of a bite you back. That's what that is. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll pop them, just eat the inside and throw the skin on the ground. I like the skin. So I like that sweet, and that kind of bite at the end of it, I like that. So I eat the whole thing, but some people, they'll just eat the inside. So we made wines out of those grapes. So the wines tend to be on the sweet side. Now, like I said, we are going to try a couple of our dries, but most of ours are going to be a mid-sweet to sweet. So hopefully you like a sweet wine, but if you don't, try them all anyway. Because I find that people who tell me they don't like sweet wines, they end up liking at least 1 or 2 of ours, even if they don't like a sweet wine. A lot of our more dry wine drinkers, they end up liking some of our mid-sweets, which we're going to try here today too. So I've talked enough, let's get started. So we're going to start, first of all, with our driest white. Now this is called Summertime Strut. Now if you like I would say a Pinot Grigio or a Chardonnay, you're probably going to like this wine. It's only about a 0.3% sugar content, so this is very low in that sugar content. You get that muscadine smell in this, definitely. So if you never smelled a muscadine, give this a smell, because that's exactly what one smells like. Now, all of our wines are going to have similar smells because that muscadine is a very, very potent smell. It gives you can't get past that smell, and they all smell kind of the same. So you can do a smell test on all of them, but I suggest just trying them to drink. So let's give this a taste, guys. Cheers. Yeah, you get that fruity taste without all the sweetness in that Summertime Strut. That's made with a blend of some of our white muscadine wines. It's got a little bit of our Sculpinong, a little bit of our Carlos in there. And we pick those very early in the season. So they're not 100% ripe when we pick them, so you don't get all the sweetness that you do in those very ripe grapes. That is a great one if you're doing chicken, fish. That is a great wine to drink with those white meats. I also like it with pork. It's very good with pork also. Very good, the other white meat, as like they like to say. So that's going to be our driest white. We're going to switch over now to a mid-sweet. Now this is one of our new wines for this year, the 2023-2024 year. This is our Midnight Magnolia Reserve. Going to give you a pour of that. Now, it's called Midnight Magnolia Reserve. First of all, it's made with the Magnolia muscadine grape. We're looking at about a 7%, 6 to 7% sugar content in this. I would say if you've never had a Magnolia wine of ours, if you like a Riesling, it's similar to that. Now, it's called a reserve because every so often we get a crop of grapes that are almost perfect as far as like the sugar levels, the acidity levels that we're looking for. So we don't have to do a lot of work on those to get those to the levels we need. When you have those types of grapes come in, it's a very limited run. So this is our Midnight Magnolia Reserve. I like this one because I do like a mid-sweet. I like the whole gamut. I love the dries, I love the sweets, I love the mid-sweets, but my favorite of ours, they tend to be in that mid-sweet range. And this is called Midnight Magnolia Reserve, and let's give it a taste. Yeah, that is so good. Goes down super smooth. You're starting to get a little bit of that sweetness of that muscadine in this one that you don't get in that summertime strut. This is just a great wine. If you've got, again, it's a good with fish, chicken, any of those white meats, goes really well with that. And I even like this as an after dinner drink with a dessert. If I'm doing a dessert, I love a creme brulee with that. That's a really good one to do with a creme brulee. Now, we're going to get a little bit sweeter now. This is called white sangria. Now, what this is, we came out with this right around 2015, and this one is a blend of all of our white muscadine grapes. So we blend those all together, and when you make a sangria at home, you usually end up adding your own fruit to it. Well, we want to make it a lot easier for you. So what we did, we made this wine, and we went ahead and added those fruits in there. So you get those fruit flavors in this wine already. So this is a blend of our Sculpinong, our Magnolia, and our Carlos grapes. And we've got a little bit of citrus in here. You're going to have a little bit of strawberry, mango, all mixed in here. But what I get out of this, oh, and there's a little peach in there too. Because what I get out of this one more than anything, I get that peach and mango flavor. Now, we did come out with this in 2015, and it took off so well that year we did the red and the white sangria. A couple years later, we ended up making one called Sangria Rosé, which is a blend of those two, which is out of the three of them, that's my favorite. But this is my second favorite. This is the white sangria. Cheers, guys. We're looking at about a 10 to 11% sugar content in this. Oh yeah, you definitely start to get that muscadine taste in there. In the finish of this, or that muscadine sweetness with that taste. So again, we're getting sweeter and sweeter. They all have that muscadine taste, but that one really brings it out because it's a little bit sweeter, so it does taste like that more right off the vine. I get most of, like I said, the peach and mango out of this though. That peach and mango, it's right on the finish of that. It's amazing. Again, if you like this one, definitely try out our Sangria Red and our Sangria Rosé. Out of the three of them, again, my favorite though is Sangria Rosé. That's going to bring us to our Mother Vine Sculpinong. Now, we've got several different Sculpinong wines that we have here. We've got a house Sculpinong that we have. We've got our Sculpinong Blush, and this is our Mother Vine Sculpinong. Now, this one's a little bit more expensive than most of our wines. This is around a $20 bottle of wine. Between $20 and $23 on that bottle of wine. And what this is, the Mother Vine is actually a vine in Manteo, North Carolina. Now, a little bit of history on this. That vine is over 500 years old. That's what they have actually dated this vine to be. It is in a guy's backyard. It's been there, not in his backyard because his house is built kind of around it, but it's been in that same area for right around 500 years. So it's the oldest known Sculpinong in North America, and as far as we know, anywhere. And what it is, it's been about 15 years now, there was the city of Manteo was coming through, and you know how you got in your yard, you got the telephone poles, of course, the light poles. They were spraying those light poles for weeds, and they got some of that weed killer on this mother vine, that 500-year-old vine, right? So what ended up happening was a couple of different wineries, including us, we sent some of our guys out there and some other wineries, sent some of their guys out there, and they actually went in and saved this vine from dying because it was dying slowly from this weed killer that got on this vine. So what ended up happening was, since we came out there and did that, the gentleman who owned this vine offered us pieces of that mother vine. So we bought some of those from him, brought them back here to good old Rose Hill, North Carolina, and we started planting them. So at first we had, I think it was around 50 to 60 different pieces of that vine. And over the years, we have been cultivating that, taking pieces of that and replanting that. So over the years, we've got acres of this vine, and we make a wine out of it every year called the Mother Vine Sculpinong. Now, if you like a Sculpinong grape, you're gonna love this one. Our Sculpinong that we have here, the house Sculpinong, it's got a good taste to it. It reminds you of eating those Sculpinongs off the vine, but it's got a little bit of that Sculpinong bite to it that I talked about a little bit earlier. This one is a lot smoother. And we attest that to the age of that vine, all right? That vine over the 500 years has acclimated to the environment here, and it has been able to make a more smooth, better tasting grape over the 500 years in its existence. So let's give this one a taste, guys. Cheers. Oh yeah, that one reminds me of being in my grandparents' backyard. Well, my neighbor's grandparents' backyard, actually. They lived right down the street from us, and we would go down there, and my neighbor's grandmother had these Sculpinongs in her yard. We would pick those off of there, and we'd pop them in our mouths. This tastes like that, but about 100 times better. It's got that smooth finish on it that you don't have when you pull them right off the vine like that. That is a great wine. I highly recommend this one. If you guys get a chance, get a bottle of that. Now, that's going to bring us to our Sweet Lily. So we've gone from our 0.3% to our 6 to 7%. These are right around that 10, 11%. The Sweet Lily is also about a 10 or 11% sugar content. And this is actually one of our sparkling wines. So we're going to give this a pour, and you're going to see those bubbles in there. So this is it's a good bubbly wine. And what this is a blend of, again, all of our white muscadine grapes. And we've just added that bubbly in there. Now, you can do some stuff with this, okay? You can drink it straight like we're getting ready to do, or if you like mimosas, this is really good with a little bit of either mango juice in there or pineapple juice. As a mango or pineapple juice mimosa. Or if you're feeling frisky, you can mix those together in there. So you can have a mango pineapple mimosa, which is really good. So I highly suggest that. But this is a Sweet Lily. We're going to try it without anything in it. Cheers, guys. Yeah. You get those little bubbles on your tongue when you first put it in your mouth. Get you that happy juice is what I like to call it. Get you all tingly. But that's our Sweet Lily. Again, I suggest this one doing with mimosas. If you're sitting around the house on a Saturday morning and you're looking for something with your breakfast, you want a nice mimosa, this is really good, like I said, with either pineapple juice, mango juice, or mix them together. So that's going to be all of our whites. So we've done from our driest to our sweetest. We're going to start over with a wine that we have. This is our driest red one of our driest reds that we have. We've got our Burgundy here that we're going to try. But we also have another wine that's a dry wine, and it is called Coastal Shag. Now, we're not trying that one today, but it's our driest red. It's about a 0.3%. This is a little bit sweeter than this Burgundy, and this is about a 1.5% sugar content. So if you like a Pinot Noir, this is a really good one. It reminds me a lot of a Pinot Noir. It's not quite as dry as, say, a Merlot or a Shiraz or any of those types. It's right around that Pinot Noir. Like I said, 1.5% sugar content. We picked these early in the season, and this is a blend of all of our red muscadine grapes. So you got a little bit of James grape in there and a couple of our other grapes that we have. But you smell this one, and again, it's going to have that muscadine smell, but this one it gives me more of a summery muscadine. You know, it reminds me of being out in those woods when I was a kid, and somebody has stepped on one of those muscadines that's fallen out of the trees, and you get that juice come up in your nose, and it just gets in your head, and that's exactly what this smells like to me. It just reminds me of summer. So let's give this a drink, guys. Cheers. Yeah, you get that fruitiness of that muscadine, without all the sweetness. So I love this one. There's two ways I drink this one. If I'm drinking this during the summer, I do it just like that. Chilled, right out of the cooler, want it cold. Now, if I've got a winter night and I'm cold and I want to get warmed up a little bit, I suggest doing this one right off the shelf. In other words, do it at room temperature. It's going to warm your bones on those cold winter nights. So if you're looking for something to warm your bones on a cold winter night, check the Burgundy out, but do it at room temperature. If you're doing it during the summer, definitely chill it. But this one is one of the wines that I do like of ours that I do like at room temperature. That's the Burgundy. And if you're not a fan of dry reds, but you like beef, what you can do with this, marinate some steaks in this. If you marinate a couple ribeyes in this, or if you're gonna do a filet, a small filet, either of those are really good marinated in that, and then put on your barbecue grill. It's a great way to do your steaks. All right, so that's our dry red that we're gonna try. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna try a mid-sweet. And this is another Magnolia. This is our pink Magnolia. Now, we did the Midnight Magnolia Reserve. This is a blend of that Magnolia grape, but it's also got a couple of our red muscadines in there. So this is gonna be a blush. We're looking at about a 6 to 7% sugar content in this. So this is another good mid-sweet again. If you like a Zinfandel, a white Zinfandel, this one reminds me kind of a white Zinfandel taste to it, especially the sugar content. Maybe not so much the taste, but the sugar content in this is right around the same. And it even kind of has a little bit of that white Zinfandel taste with a little bit of muscadine thrown in there. So let's give this a taste, guys. I'll tell you what, that one for a wine on a hot summer day, that is one of my top 5 favorite for a wine on a hot summer day, that pink Magnolia. It's also really good if you like any kind of, say, any kind of Latina food, Indian food, anything with that spice in it. That is a really good wine to pair with any of those spicy foods. It really complements those spices. That little bit of sweetness isn't too sweet for those spices, but it kind of just mellows out that spice of those foods. It's a great one. I love that wine. All right. Now that's going to bring us to, personally, my favorite wine that we have at Duplin Winery. This is called Going Coastal. Now, what this is a blend of a lot of grapes, okay? Now, when I say a lot of grapes, I'm talking at least 4. Okay, there's some of our red muscadines in there, there's some of our white muscadines in there, but what I really like about this is this has a couple of grapes in there that are non-muscadine. Now I'm talking about your pink Catawba and your Niagara grapes. So your pink Catawba and Niagara grapes, most of the time you're gonna find them up north. Upstate New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, you have a lot of those wines that are made in the Finger Lakes regions. They use a lot of pink Catawba and Niagara. I got family in Ohio. When I start talking about pink Catawba, they know what I'm talking about. So there's a lot of those in that region also. The reason I like this, and with it being blended with those grapes, it gives you that muscadine taste, but it's nice every so often to have some of those other grapes that we don't have here in the South quite as much blended in with those, and it just gives you a very unique taste. This is about a 11% sugar content. This is going to be one of the higher end sugar contents, but it is super, super smooth. Honestly, this is my favorite wine that we have here. It's my favorite wine that we've made. You guys got to try this. Cheers. You get, first thing you're going to taste in there, you do get the taste of that muscadine. But then on the finish of that, you really taste that Niagara and a little bit of that pink Catawba. So those blended together, again, just some of my favorite wines that we have here. I love that wine. And also, just as a side note, if you like vodka, that's good with a shot of vodka in it too, okay? I know from experience, I'm just saying. That is our Going Coastal. Definitely try that one out, guys. I would definitely get a bottle of that. If you've got anywhere you can get it, go online, get it from us. Great bottle of wine. Now, our next wine is called Sweet Caroline. Now, I love the picture on here, okay? This was actually in a contest we did. This was originally called 10. Now, what this was originally, we have a hockey team in Raleigh, okay, professional hockey team. And they wanted to, years ago, when they first started, they wanted us to do a wine for them, okay? So we did this wine, it was called 10, and they had been around, I said when they first started, they had been around for about 10 years, so it wasn't right when they first started. But what ended up happening was they wanted us to make a wine to pair with them. It was their 10th anniversary on this occasion. And what ended up happening, they actually won the Stanley Cup that year, okay? So that was, it had a big X on it for 10, the Roman numeral 10. And it sold that well. We sold it as commemoration of their 10th anniversary. Lo and behold, like I said, they won the Stanley Cup. Well, it sold very well. People liked it. We wanted to keep it, but it had the 10 on it, and it also had their little logo on the side of it. And they're the Carolina Hurricanes is who they are, and they're out of Raleigh. So it had their logo on there, so we couldn't keep that label, all right, after we stopped that contract with them to make that wine. So we did a label contest. And the person who won actually drew this picture. So we asked the person who did that, we said, well, where'd you get the idea for this? And they said, well, you know, we were thinking about Carolina, and this is North Carolina wine, and the song Sweet Caroline. And that's what we imagined Sweet Caroline looking like. So that's where that kind of came from. So this is, again, this is our sweetest wine. Now, most of our wines, like I said, are between that 8 to 10% sugar content range. This is actually a 13% sugar content range. And this is a blend of some of our white and some of our red muscadines. If you're looking for a good dessert wine to have with some of your desserts, you like a bread pudding, this is great with a bread pudding. I like it with just apple pie and ice cream too. It's really good. But you guys give this a try right now. Cheers, guys. Mm. Oh, that one is so sweet. Those grapes for this one are picked at the height of their ripeness. And so you really get all that sugar, all the taste of that muscadine in there. Great wine. That also one of my top 5. Still doesn't beat the Going Coastal though. That's still my favorite. And until we come out with something that just knocks my socks off more than that, that's going to stay my favorite, that Going Coastal. All right. So a few years ago, we came out with a cotton candy wine. All right. So that sold doggone well for us. And so we decided, well, you know, the cotton candy, people love it, and let me start with this. It's not a cotton candy grape. So that is not the type of grape it is. It is a cotton candy wine made out of muscadines. So what we did was we took those muscadines and we blended those with some berry and vanilla flavors, and it gives you that cotton candy taste. So our original cotton candy wine sold very, very well. So we wanted to do that cotton candy line, but add some flavors to it. So we came out with a blueberry, we came out with a lime, and then we also came out with this peach. This peach is, honestly, it's my second favorite of the cotton candies. The blueberry is my favorite. I'm just a blueberry guy. I love blueberries. So it's hard for me to have anything beat that blueberry taste. But this peach comes pretty doggone close. So when you taste this, you're going to taste that cotton candy taste at first, but on the finish of this, you're going to get a subtle taste of that peach. So you're going to have a little bit of a peach smell to it. You really do. I said earlier that these all smell pretty similar. They do. This and a blueberry cotton candy are one of the two of the exceptions to that rule. You really do get that peach smell in this. So cheers, guys. Mm. Yep. Taste that cotton candy. The finish of that, as that goes down your throat, you start to get that peach taste. Great wine. I'll tell you what though, if you like sweet tea, and if you're in the South, I guarantee you probably like sweet tea if you grew up in the South. Take about a half a glass of sweet tea of this. The rest of it up to about here of that peach cotton candy, and you got a nice peach sweet tea drink. It's a really good thing to try. And that's gonna bring us to our final wine that we're gonna do today. This is called Orange Blossom. Now, I mentioned earlier that we've got 3 different wineries, and the 3 wineries we have, first of all, we've got the newest winery is Panama City Beach, Florida. That's where we came up with this wine. Our second winery that we had is our North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina location. That one we opened up in 2015, and that's where I started with the company. And then our original is here in Rose Hill, North Carolina, where we are today. Now, this winery has been here since 1976. And just a little bit of history of the winery really quick for you. This winery started out with 2 brothers and their dad. It was Big D, who was their dad, and then Dave and Dan Fussell. Now, Dave and Dan, they started making wine, didn't really know what they were doing there at the beginning, and they learned as they went along. So that first year, they sold right around 2,000 bottles that first year. And over the course of the next 48 years, we've gone from that to last year, we sold 500,000 cases of wine. So we've grown over the course of those years. And the 2 owners now are the sons of Dave Sr. That would be Jonathan and Dave Jr. And if you've ever met either of those guys, I'm telling you right now, they're super down to earth, great guys to work for. Another quick side story, won't take but a second. When I first started working here, I was in one of these bars like this and I was cleaning up. Well, Dave comes in and he's like, "Hey, Frank, how's it going?" I'm like, "Oh, thanks, Dave. Thank you for letting me work for you guys." He looks at me, he says, "Frank, you don't work for us, you work with us." So that's kind of their mindset. You won't see them doing, they won't ask you to do anything that they're not willing to do. I've been out with Jonathan, out cleaning up the roads, cleaning up around the wineries right out by the road. So he'll pick up trash just like the rest of us. So that's a mindset of these guys. And what has really done, in my opinion, got us to where we are today is that family and God come first to this company. We're not open on Sundays because their dad made a promise to his mother years ago that, I'm telling you, I will not be open on Sundays if you don't want me to be open on Sundays. I think it's important that we don't be open on Sundays, and that's a promise he made to his mother. That's Dave and Jonathan's grandmother, and we've stuck to that through all these years. So all of our wineries are closed on Sunday. So that's what I attribute our success to. Hard work and just the values we have here. So great company to work for. That's a little bit of the history there. In fact, we're into the 4th generation. So I mentioned Jonathan and Dave being the owners. Well, their children are now coming in and taking ownership of the business. So we're into our 4th generation. So we've started out, had a good run, and we're going to keep going, guys. So we want you guys to come down and see us. But let's get back to our wine here now. We've got our Orange Blossom. And again, this is kind of one of our signature wines for down there in Panama City Beach, Florida. It's going to be another one of our bubbly wines, one of our sparkling wines. So this is a blush. It's got a little bit of our Sculpinong, a little bit of our Magnolia. You got a little bit of that James grape in there and a couple other of our red grapes. But we've also got some bubbles in there and a little bit of that orange zest on the end of this. You can smell the orange in this. Those that we've added some of that fruit in there, you are going to smell those fruits in there. You're still going to smell that muscadine because that is such a strong scent, a wonderful strong scent. But let's give it a taste. Cheers, guys. Oh, it's like a Fanta. I'm just kidding. It's not. I swear, it's not like a Fanta. It's got that orange finish on there. You taste that muscadine at first. Just like that sweet lily, you get those bubbles in your tongue, you get that happiness in your heart, and then at the end of that, you get that orange taste. This is another good one to do with mimosas on a Sunday or Saturday when you're eating breakfast one morning. Add a little bit of orange juice to that, though. I like this one with some orange juice. Great wine, Orange Blossom. Oh, another thing to do with this, that we do have a video out there if you want to check it out. You guys remember, there was a place in the mall right beside Dairy Queen called Orange Julius. This was back in the 80s, my era. and they still have them around. You'll find them every so often, but they had a drink in there, and it was called the Orange Julius. That was the name of the store also. But we made an Orange Julius, an adult Orange Julius with this wine. So look that up, check it out, definitely. It's a pretty cool video that we did. Jeff there filmed it, and it was just awesome. You guys got to try that. All right, well, that's it. Wait, but there's more. There is actually one more. I was kidding, we're not done yet. But this is not one of our wines. This is one of our wine slushies. So if you guys have never had a sweetser of ours, now we call them sweetsers, it's a wine slushie. So what we're going to try today is the Berry Bliss. So you see the Berry Bliss here. What you do to make this, we make them in big slushy machines here at the winery. So when you do a tasting with us, I don't know if you can see it in the background, but that's our slushy machine. We make them in big buckets, put them in there, and it freezes. Well, you probably don't have one of those at your house. If you do, invite me over, and we'll have those one night, and I'll show you how to make them. But the way we make them at home normally is you take this package. This package has 2 packets in here. Those packets inside of there, it looks like Kool-Aid before you mix it with water. So it's a powder. You take one of those packets, half a bottle of whatever wine it calls for. In this case, we're using that Burgundy wine. You're going to mix that together, pour that in a blender of ice. Some of them call for lemon lime soda, like 6 ounces of lemon lime soda. This one calls for that. They don't all take that, but this one does. You mix all that together, pour it in a blender of ice, blend it up, and then this is what you get when you're done. So if you've got like a Ninja blender at the house, those work great to do these. It gets it almost to the same smoothness as our sweetser machines back here. If you don't, if you got a $20 blender from a department store like I have, then what you're gonna do is I like to either pre-crush my ice, like if you got an ice machine, pre-crush it, do it crushed coming out, or go to the store and buy bags of ice. Those tend to be a little bit softer, and it'll get you closer to this. Not quite as chunky, but if you got a Ninja blender, you can put cement in there and it'll make it soft. Don't put cement in this, but I'm just saying. So what you're gonna do then, do that, mix that up. One of these has 2 packs in it, so you're gonna take one of those packs, half a bottle of wine, the other pack, the other half a bottle of wine. So 1 bottle of wine, and this whole thing will make 2 blenders full. That ends up being right around 10 cups is what it ends up being. So you can make 10 of these out of this. We got about 11 flavors of these. Nice thing about it is, if you got kids that are underage, I got a niece, we'll go down to the lake, we'll take one, we'll make it with wine, the other one we've got non-alcoholic wine here. We use it with our non-alcoholic wine. If you don't have that available, you can just do the water. Water works good too. Or if you got grape juice is even better. But if you don't have either and you hard up and you got to do it quick, you can use water, it won't hurt anything. But then when you want them to go to bed, you know, those kids, you just switch yours. Give them yours, they'll go right to sleep. Don't do that, I'm kidding. I've never done that, I promise. All right, so let's taste this. Guys, cheers. That is amazing. That's a strawberry flavor, that Berry Bliss. We've got a raspberry mango lemonade, which is one of my top 2 favorites. My favorite, though, is our blueberry. And we've also got one called electric lemonade. The electric lemonade, I'll take that, make that, and then I'll make the blueberry and blend them together. And it's kind of a blueberry lemonade, and it's amazing, I'm telling you. These, you get them online from us. There are some small boutiques that carry them, but we do have them all at all of our locations. So definitely pick some of these up this summer, next summer, any summer. They're great for any summer type of activities because they're super cool and they just cool you. In fact, I need one right now. They just cool you right down. So that is our wines that we did for this wine tasting. I hope you guys had a good time, learned something. Come down, see us either at our Panama City Beach location if you're down there in Florida. If you're down there visiting, come to see us. Same with North Myrtle Beach. Same thing if you're down there visiting. Rose Hill, if you're visiting in the area. Raleigh's not too far from us. You got Wilmington that's close to us. So if you're in those areas, it's less than an hour drive from both of those places. And you get to come see the original, and you can have lunch with us. We do have a bistro here at our Rose Hill location. So if you get a chance, come do lunch with us, come over, do a wine tasting with us, come check out our production facility. We do tours there. If you're in the other 2 locations, we do virtual tours. We've got all kinds of stuff going on, guys. So we want you to come see us live next time, but we appreciate you checking us out here online also. Guys, have a great one. I'm Frank, and I'm out.